Right then, Ipswich Town have lost 2-0 at home to Rotherham, and we've seen this before, haven't we? That's 3 times they've played each other in League One. 3 times Rotherham have come out on top, and 3 times they've really come out on top and dominated Ipswich, and it's happened again to a Paul Cook Ipswich, Stu.
Yeah, major deja vu from 2019-20. Rotherham came here, outthought Ipswich Town, won 2-0. They went on to get promoted. Ipswich finished outside the playoffs, and fast forward a couple of seasons and Rotherham just look a well-oiled machine. They look, so many of those players that we saw a couple of years ago are still there at Rotherham. They've added to it smartly. They are the yo-yo club, aren't they, between Championship and League One, and Ipswich, quite frankly, look still like that new project that still, I think the phrase Paul Cook used a few weeks ago was searching for our souls. Careful how I say that, and that still remains the case tonight. It was a lack of ideas in attack, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a goal in either half. Benoit's and Shane Ferguson with the goals, but Ipswich didn't push it. They didn't. There was no invention. There was no pace. There was no real probing, and it just allowed Rotherham to do what Rotherham do. And if you allow Rotherham to do what they want to do, they will get on top of you, and they will give you no way back into the game. And I don't know what minute it kind of was for you, Stu, but I think probably from 55, 60 minutes on, I didn't feel like there was anything in this game for Ipswich tonight.
No, certainly when the second goal went in just before the hour mark, that was game over, which is quite a sad thing to say when it's still half an hour to go, but you think, well, one goal back and it would change the whole mood, but you just couldn't see where that goal was coming from, and that's now 4 out of the last 5 games in which Ipswich Town have failed to score. We didn't think goals was going to be the problem earlier in the season, it was keeping them out, but they're huffing and puffing in attack a little bit, and today Cook's freshened up the front end of his team. Sonny Aluko dropped out, his father sadly has passed away, that's why he wasn't here tonight, and Carl Edwards dropped to the bench as well. In came Chaplin, in came
Scott
Fraser, thank you, happens every time, which tells you a lot about the lack of things going forward, doesn't it, that they don't even sort of trip off the tongue. So you've essentially got 3 number 10s, players that all want to play number 10 there, and there was just no fluidity, or I don't know, there was just nothing really, was there, going forward?
No, it felt all one-paced, and no kind of player in there capable of changing the pace of an attack. Yes, Selina can play clever balls at the right moments, but that they weren't coming off tonight. There was no connection with Bon up top, who looked a little lost again, sort of up top on his own. Chaplin, again, some nice touches, wrong areas of the pitch. Fraser, I thought, was probably my pick of the 3. His touch is great. He can turn in tight areas and move the team around quite well, but he's not a kind of break the lines player in that role, and that meant with 2 fullbacks that weren't getting forward in the way that Paul Cook would want as well, and a midfield that's asked to stay at home.
That's the thing that exacerbates it for me. You can talk as much about as we want about sort of the flair players at the top end haven't been producing as much recently. Paul Cook's 4-2-3-1 brand of football relies on the fullbacks being dynamic, on bombing on getting into that space vacated by the wingers that tuck inside, and it's not been happening in the last few games. Bailey Clements has it's been a valiant effort for a young man that's got pitched straight in at the deep end for the Oxford game, but he's not quite at the level that they need. Speaking quite honestly about that in terms of getting forward and contributing from the top end of the team. Janoy Danassian, we've all seen sort of his rise this season, but he's a defender more than an attacker, isn't he? So I don't know if they've got the right people in those slots in the fullback positions at the moment. Is not helping. Just as a team, they're not quite functioning. 1 or 2 sort of components are missing, and that's why Ipswich Town are misfiring. And then when you come up against such a well-oiled machine like Rotherham, then there's only going to be one winner, isn't there? And tonight was always going to be a tough night, and it just sort of compounds the disappointment of Saturday at Sunderland, just makes that feel even more like a major missed opportunity because we're not far away from the halfway point of the season now, and Ipswich find themselves down in 13th. They find themselves equidistant between the playoffs and the relegation zone. So Paul Cook will keep talking about this being a marathon rather than a sprint, but they can't keep leaving too many points out there, can they, Andy?
If you're struggling to hit your time in a marathon, not something I can talk about with huge experience, but you probably do need to speed up a little bit to kind of catch up with the pack, and that's what they're going to need to do. They've got Crewe, bottom of the table, coming here on Sunday. They've left themselves needing to win that game, and probably needing to win it in a bit of style as well, just to recapture a few hearts ahead of a Christmas period, which we're really hoping is going to yield something special for Ipswich on the pitch and in the stands as well. So yeah, Crewe at home on Sunday, where Ipswich will be looking to put things right.